Welcome to Reshaping Luxury, Julien.
Thank you, David.
Good to have you here.
My pleasure.
Julien Tornard, you have been the chief executive of Swiss luxury watchmaker Zenith for a little bit more than 2 years now. Previously, you spent 70 years at Richemont working in Asia, in Europe, and in the United States. You have been hired by LVMH's famous Jean-Claude Biver to help the brand execute a turnaround and breathe new life to Zenith. First question, Julien. What is your experience with Chinese luxury travelers?
Since I lived 7 years in Hong Kong, I've been really facing Chinese challenges and Chinese opportunities, I would say, in terms of clientele all around Asia. And of course, now I've been in Europe for 2 years, and we work a lot on the Chinese tourist. First thing you need to do well in China, you need to reinforce your position in China, and then you need to know how to catch them the right way when they travel around the world.
What has been the most transformative change within Zenith since you joined?
There have been quite a few, but if I have to choose one, I would say the mindset. You know, when I came on board, I worked a lot on changing the mindset and going more into kind of a startup spirit, because I believe Zenith, in its history, had been so innovative and dynamic. We need to bring this innovation back into the brand. So it goes with a startup spirit.
How do you change the mindset of a company like Zenith?
It takes time. It's clear we are in the Swiss mountain. People tend to be a bit conservative. But it's really by sharing about the industry and sharing with them where we want to bring the brand. And today, the world is going so fast. We have to show everyone that our brand, but the industry, is very dynamic and very innovative. You know, the Swiss watch industry is often perceived as an industry repeating the past. And I believe that if we want to be here in 50 years, if we want to face smartwatches and other competition coming, we need to be super dynamic.
What will be the important point of focus for Zenith this year?
2020 is going to be a great year. We have quite a few developments. Our DeFi line will increase. We have a few more models to come. But if I had one main thematic, it would be women. You know, women are very strong clients for us. But this year we are focusing on quite a new development in terms of product. Yeah.
So 2020 is the year of women at Zenith?
For sure.
What have been the most important challenges so far?
Quite a few, but I would say for us, ahead of us is clearly first the brand awareness. We need more people to know about Zenith because it's such a beautiful brand. And again, combining long heritage, authenticity, because we make all our movements and every single Zenith has a Zenith movement, but also a brand that's projecting itself into the future. And that's very important. So awareness, and of course, desirability. So these are the two things we're working on.
Yeah. Awareness and desirability. Yeah. And what about the retail specifically? Because I know that you have a selected numbers of monobrand boutiques, a couple of franchises as well. How is it going to evolve?
We have to reinforce our retail for sure. Today we have around 10 internal boutiques and 10 franchises in the world. And it's clearly a very important channel if we want our clients to have a special experience. But I wouldn't go 100% retail. I wouldn't go 100% in one way or another. I think we need to have an omni-channel approach. And I think today, between e-commerce, wholesale, and retail, we have the right combination.
You recently held an exhibition in Dubai, and for the first time, LVMH brands, watches and jewelry together presented their brands. What was the raison d'être behind this exhibition?
Well, you know, the very well-known trade shows, whether Baselworld or SIHH, are going through transformation. They also want to get closer to the client, to welcome better the end client as well. And on our side, what we wanted to do is to get to the market and to get closer to the client. You know, it's important to keep an institutional event in Switzerland, but it's also very important to get to the market and to get closer to the client. So this year is Dubai. Maybe next year it's another destination, but I believe it's the right way to go. Yeah.
If we speak about the product now, you have recently celebrated the 50th anniversary of El Primero with the creation of a chronograph platinum piece that sold for $250,000, the highest auction price ever received for timepieces like this. Can you tell us more about this initiative?
Yes, it was part of the celebration of the El Primero. And you know, 1 year ago, I was thinking we have to celebrate a movement. Not a brand, not a watch, but a movement. How do we do it? And the first thing I did is I managed to meet the people who made the El Primero. The youngest was born in 1945, the oldest in 1933. And altogether, they explained me about this amazing adventure and the great innovative and startup spirit these gentlemen had in the 60s. So we've made quite a few limited editions here and there to celebrate this anniversary. We've done 19 events worldwide in all continents. And at the end, we started as well a collaboration with the Philips auction house, Aurel Bax and his team. And we decided to create a watch, an El Primero watch, that would be really a one-off, really something very unique. That's how we came with this platinum piece with a lapis lazuli that hit a great record for us at the auction. Yeah.
Okay. I know that Zenith has also been experimenting with the creation of a limited edition of its watches. Is it something that you will keep doing or increase in the future?
I think it's important. It's part of the business today. People are looking to have a watch that nobody else has, and I think it's important to continue to have limited edition. But too many limited edition are killing the limited edition. Exactly. So we need to be careful, and we are focusing on very special opportunities. You know, very special partnership, very special celebration. This year was a bit different with the anniversary, but I mean we have to keep it limited, obviously.
What are the ingredients for a successful limited edition?
David, it seems a bit obvious, but first you need to make the most beautiful product you can. And after, you need to work on special features. For example, this year we launched a beautiful rose gold, yellow gold, and white gold El Primero movement Chronomaster. And each of these watches, they had a 50 years warranty. It had never been done. We think El Primero is forever, and we wanted to give another feature to the watch. Yeah. So that's an example. But you have to make it as special as you can.
So you believe that limited editions still have a bright future?
Yeah, for sure. In luxury is rarity, exclusivity. So the more limited you are, the more people are going to look for your product, your watches. So I think it's really important to continue. And of course, you create buzz. You know, we've recently launched a few limited edition that got sold in an hour and 30 minutes. So that creates a lot of noise around the brand. And that's what we want if we want to increase awareness.
Speaking of awareness, you have also created Le Monde Étoilé.
Yes.
An experience for the public to see in more detail how Zenith watches are being crafted. What was the motivation behind?
Alors, clearly, it's another way to be innovative. We don't want to be only innovative with the product. We want to create something special. And the manufacturer visits are now open to public. First time ever a manufacturer is opening its door. And we wanted to create a visit that could be interesting for everyone. I don't know, David, if you've seen different manufacturers, but unless you are really a technical expert, you can be a bit confused after a certain time. We wanted to keep this visit very interesting, very emotional, very around, I would say, storytelling. And we take advantage of this visit to talk about the famous Charles Vermeau story. So we give emotion, and that's what people want. They want experience, they want emotion, passion, and I believe it's a key success factor for a brand now, yeah.
So experience, emotion, passion?
Yes, these are key words in luxury, and I mean, that's our objective. If people leave our manufacturer with these feelings in their heart, we are very happy.
We are also seeing lots of moves happening on the pre-owned markets. What's your vision on that?
It's a booming market, it's true. It started in the US probably 15 to 20 years ago already, but now it's all over the world. And I think, you know, we talk about sustainability, we talk about second, third life of a product, and I think it's really in the trend. And again, we have to consider that. So more and more boutiques, for example, will sell secondhand in their own store.
Do you think we will be seeing more and more brands jumping on this pre-owned market? And what are Zenith's plans?
Yes, it's actually right in the trend today, and there is demand. So we need to respond to the demand. And I think it goes with the trend of sustainability, of second cycle, third cycle of life for a product. So I believe we have to do it the right way. But as a luxury brand, you need to make sure that the products that are being sold as secondhand are meeting the highest quality criteria. That's very important, yeah. So you need to check, you need to give the right paperwork, you need to give a warranty and everything, yeah.
We have been talking for e-commerce in the watch industry for a number of years now. I know Zenith has developed a partnership as well with Mr. Porter and maybe some other platform.
Yeah.
What's your vision of the evolution of the e-commerce as far as the luxury watch industry is concerned?
Again, today you cannot be a brand with the ambition to be innovative and living in the 21st century without a strategy on e-commerce. But e-commerce in watch business remained quite still in terms of volume. It remained quite limited. Today, what works well is more about special edition that you cannot find anywhere else than online. So we had this great sale with Hodinkee, with Mr. Porter on some limited editions that are being sold, within an hour, within 2 hours, because people are looking for special product. So that's the business today with e-commerce. Yeah.
So your vision is really like to cross the limited edition element with the e-commerce.
I think, that's the right way to go.
That's the right way to go. Speaking of the global industry now, in a fast-changing and quite complicated context, let's face it, the trade war, Hong Kong, the evolution of the smartwatches and so on, how do you see the future of the Swiss luxury industry?
I think it will continue to go through these times. We've had very difficult times, wars, crises in the past, and we are still here. The industry is really working on the long term, and I believe watches are a product that will stay here forever. It's one of the few objects that will still work in 1,000 years. So in the 60s, we got very scared. The whole industry was shaken up by the quartz crisis. We believe it was the end. We came back very strongly. Today, some people talk about smartwatches. Some people talk about new clients not wearing a watch. We have to show them that we are innovative, dynamic, that we bring new things in mechanical watches to convince them that it's important to have a watch. And don't forget that a watch is also one of the rare pieces of jewelry that men are wearing, and I believe it's something which means a lot in terms of emotion. Usually you receive a watch for a particular moment of your life, a special occasion, a reward, and this will always happen in life. So I'm quite optimistic. Yeah.
In conclusion, if you had to summarize 2020 in one word,
I would say challenging.
Julien Tornard, thank you very much for your time. There were lots of fascinating things in this discussion. I keep a few important keywords. Startup, entrepreneurship, and mindset as being also key to the future of Zenith.
Definitely. Thank you.